Justin with Wrestling Travel USA, and we're super excited to have Alicia Atout with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Justin. This whole thing has been really crazy the last couple of weeks. I've been home for 2 weeks straight now. Yeah, it's been a lot. So I'm doing well, but I'm not up to much.
I hear you. I hear you. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this. I'm gonna step in as a temporary content provider for Wrestling Travel here in the U.S. Just so people have something different to watch. I mean, will be another option of the countless streaming things, and also by interviewing people like you, also a way to go, hey, she's got some cool stuff out on the internet that I probably want to check out, which is kind of where I want to start with you. You've got your start. Most of everybody I know knows you from the world of professional wrestling. But you started long ago before that with Ambi, interviewing different musical artists. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I started Ambi, which stood for a music blog. Yeah. I started that when I was about 16 years old. For about the first 2 years, I just posted online song reviews. I'd listen to a record I really liked, would type something up and just post it on the blog. It was just something to kind of kill time in school. And then it got to a point where I was at a concert seeing one of my favorite bands with my sister and my dad. My dad was like, why don't you interview the band? Like, ask them 2 questions, no big deal. And I was like, I was like literally about to shat my pants. And I did it and posted online, and the response for whatever reason was really good. So then I was kind of in the mindset of, okay, well, if this is working and I get to like meet my favorite bands for free, why not start lining up interviews? So it was a complete hobby. I was just doing it for fun. I got to meet the people I idolized, have some of their time, and I'd always get free concert tickets. So I was like living the dream as a teenager who loved music. And then it got to a point where we noticed that there was a lot of videos accumulating and they were getting a lot of views. And so I was at that point where I was about to graduate high school. I'm like, what am I doing? And I was accepted to a bunch of places. I didn't really want to go to them. And I just decided, you know what, let's just focus on the blog and see what happens. And next thing you know, I was interviewing like really big bands. And then once the site got really big because of music, the thought came along, why don't we try interviewing some wrestlers too, since I've been a wrestling fan for a long time. And then it kind of organically just happened like that.
Perfect. So that's where I want to make that transition. So you've been a wrestling fan for just as long as you've known, or when did where was your start in your fandom, let's say?
Yes, so that all started from when I was a kid because I would watch it with my dad. He'd have a bunch of buddies over after like playing basketball across the street. They'd be chilling in the basement, and then I'd just be like sat on the couch with them, and I would watch it. And then there's that time or the period of time where I didn't really phase out of it, and I would just keep watching it. And then of course, like most people, like you fall out for a couple years and you get back on the bandwagon and la la la. But yeah, so I've been a fan since I was a kid.
Do you have a favorite, like when you were a kid, wrestler?
Yeah, I loved Chris Jericho. I loved The Rock. I loved Cena. I feel like those are like pretty big ones for 90s kids, especially. I just thought they were like three of the most charismatic and fun people to watch. So my eyes were always drawn to them. So those were like three of my favorites when I was little. And Edge. I like loved Edge a ton. And Beth Phoenix. Oh, love her. So those are a few.
Cool. And as time has gone on, obviously you've gotten into wrestling. Now, at the end, I want to kind of give your links and stuff, and we're primarily based out of the United Kingdom, as you know, but we go all over the world, and I want to give people links to how they can catch up with you and your content. But this might be on me now. If I go to Ambi on YouTube, it kind of is covering both worlds right now. Is that accurate or not really?
Yeah, absolutely. So
okay.
When I first started for the first like 4 years, I was only interviewing musicians. I just kept the name as a music blog, because it was nice one, bud. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no, rookie mistake.
I'm just messing about.
At least it means, hey, somebody's following me on Twitter, so.
Oh, look at you racking up the numbers.
Yeah, they probably got 2 followers themselves, and hey.
But yeah, so for the first few years, it was just a music blog, yeah, because it was just a blog talking about music. And then I started
Yeah.
realizing it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not just doing concert photography, I'm not just interviewing bands, I'm now interviewing a whole other industry and genre of people. So I decided, let's strip away the a music blog, yeah, and just shorten it to Ambi, just because all my Google searches were coming from that and my name. And then it got to a point where everyone just started knowing me by name. And now like I have the Interview Queen moniker and stuff, which is super cool. So I was able to kind of just ditch the Ambi part on most platforms, and now it's just, you know, if you search me, if you want my interviews, you just type my name up. So it's kind of ditched, but it's still the same platform. If you go to one YouTube channel, it's both of the content.
Right. That's cool. And I actually, because I'm American, and actually the first time I actually saw some of your interviews was last summer. In ironically, while I was in Toronto for SummerSlam.
Right.
And yeah, you and I were in the same building, but we hadn't actually met yet. But I saw your interview with Tony Storm. And I thought it was great because the way you do interviews is not atypical. And I mean this as a compliment. It's not your typical, what I'm doing here. Hey, when you're interviewing a wrestler, like, what's your favorite match? Who is your favorite opponent? You know, you go so far away from that and kind of circle around that. It's an awesome interviewing platform is what I gotta say. So
Thank you.
we're gonna give that out at the end. I'm gonna actually do this and say one of our lovely producers will put that right on the screen right now, knowing that might not happen at all, but I feel cool saying that. MLW. Now that recently, maybe around Christmas time, December, November, that you signed on with them, and I know they're available on YouTube. And you're doing a lot of work with them, but you recently had a trip was that your last trip now to Mexico? Is that the last trip that you took?
Yeah, Mexico was so bittersweet because it was the most incredible experience. MLW had a co-promotion with AAA. We were in such an iconic venue in Tijuana, Mexico. The crowd was 5,000 people, sold out, just roaring. Like, you're literally with like legends from there, and then we have our roster coming in facing those, like a clash of promotions, and just working with Conan there was so special, doing promos with everybody, and then just watching like tons of my friends wrestle in front of 5,000 people was insane. At the same time, that's the sweet part. The bitter part is we're all like sitting in the locker room, and as we're sitting there, you know, this was like 2 weeks back, so 2.5 maybe, this is where like everyone's bookings are starting to get canceled. Everyone's starting to realize, oh no, this might be our last show for who knows how long. At one point we were like, oh, are we going to be stranded in Mexico? Like, you just don't know, because I think they closed the border from Mexico to Canada 2 days after I got back home. So like, it was just a very hectic time. We obviously made the best of it because it was such an incredible show. But at the same time, like in the back of your mind, you're just thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, this is going to be my last show for months. Like, who knows? But I mean, if that is the case, it was a really good show to go out on for a while. But we always want more. We're killing it right now, MLW. Like, we have so much lined up. We just want to get back out there. So, of course, safety comes first. But yeah, that was my last show, and it was really good.
I remember keeping track of you online through your social media, going, man, hopefully she makes it back home, because I was actually ironically in Toronto
Right.
the week before that, and there was so much on the news that I'm like, holy hell, I want to get back before they do say, hey, everybody just, huddle in place where you're at. So luckily, hopefully we're going to get back to some sense of normal. I can't wait to get back out. Ironically, you and I should be having this conversation personally or in person in Tampa at this point, if all things were back to normal.
Actually, that's the most bizarre part of it. You think like my flight would have been, it would have either been last night, 'cause I had my flights booked. Like, it would have been last night or this morning. I would have been in Tampa by now, just like hosting the living daylights out of stuff. And it's just to think that we're at home. Like, I've been doing tons of Skype interviews just like this, and it's a total 180 of what you were looking forward to and thinking was going to happen months ago. Oh my God. I just realized I still have this like fake temporary tattoo on my arm. That's so funny.
And where's that from?
We've been so bored. I bought these temporary tats like a couple years ago, and so I was in the backyard with my mom, and I was like, we were talking about tattoos 'cause we watch Ink Master, and I don't have any. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have these like temporary tats, and mom's like, yeah, let's get some ink, and we were just joking about. So I have this like really awful feather tattoo.
I just want to screenshot that and then have like one of those tabloid bylines like Alicia has a new tattoo. And then you click on it and it goes, yeah, it's a temporary tattoo that she has.
Right.
And you're like, oh.
You can fool everybody.
Yeah, so this time, as Wrestling Travel, we would have had a lot of special surprise guests for the people that do book on with us. And obviously, we do a lot of work with you. We appreciate it. We were going to work around your schedule and get you out there to meet some of our new travelers. But one of the I think I can let the cat out of the bag now, since there's no cat and there's no bag anymore. We were going to have Miss Vicki Guerrero working with us on a chance for our fans to meet. And you are working currently with Vicki on her podcast. Can you tell me how that all came about?
Yeah, it's so cool. So the first time I met Vicki was at last year's WrestleCon, funny enough. I walked up to her table, introduced myself. I mentioned, like, I've interviewed her daughter, Shawl, before, and I just wanted to say hey, because I love Vicki Guerrero so much. Like, I used to walk around the house as a child, just, excuse me, like, driving my parents mad. So I met her, and she was so sweet. And then last summer, I was hosting at a big convention in Jacksonville, and she was signing a few rows down. So I reintroduced myself, and she was like, oh my gosh, I follow you on social media. I love what you're all about. And we just hit it off. We ended up actually driving to the airport together after the convention and like talking for, the half-hour drive, just getting to know each other. And the next thing you know, a couple months ago, her producer, Jerry, reached out to me. And he's like, hey, we have our Excuse Me podcast. We're looking to partner with people. We're really interested in you. How do you feel about having your own segment on our weekly show? And I was like, yeah, like, of course.
Let me think about it, yeah.
I'm not going to say no to Vicki Guerrero. So it's really fun. It's a segment on her Excuse Me podcast. It's called Tales from the Interview Queen. I take you kind of behind the scenes for my experiences, my, places I've traveled, wrestlers I just hang out with, interview little snippets and exclusives, and I just kind of bring you into my world and tell everyone like a 2-minute tale. It's the simplest idea and people love it, and I'm just really glad that I was given the chance to work with her. It's been awesome.
That's awesome. We're hoping that we can transfer our work with Vicki to another event that we do, if not sooner, hopefully WrestleMania 37, which we're already planning. It's actually given us at Wrestling Travel, if there's a silver lining anywhere, it was, all right, now we've got a whole more than a year to plan what we can do for WrestleMania 37 and make it. We always try to make it bigger and better, but we really want to pull out all the stops now, just at almost like our hopefully events start up long before then, but kind of our big return back to bringing people from all over the world to WrestleMania. Are there any other podcasts that you do any regular appearances on? I know you're a guest here and there, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing out on anything.
No, it's interesting. That's the only one where I'm like a consistent guest on week after week. But I've been filming a ton. Like, it's weird always being asked the questions. Like, it's always super bizarre because I like the control. I like being able to kind of, steer where the conversation goes. So I've been doing a lot of guesting on just random podcasts. I have a lot of people reach out to me saying, hey, we really like what you're all about. Would you, give us a few minutes? I'm like, yeah, of course, like, it'll be fun. So I've been doing just a ton of guest spots, and any of those I'm on, I tweet out, I retweet. So if you go through my socials, like, you'll see a bunch of those. But the Vicki one is the main one that I, have a week after week appearance on. So
fantastic. And as you can tell with my great interviewing skills, I'm not in too much control of the interview. One of my final questions, and I'm taking inspiration from your interviews.
Ooh.
Where this is it. Most people would say, you're interviewing Alicia, you want to talk to her about Ambi, you want to talk to her about her wrestling interviews. But I'm going to go total 180 on you. This is my Alicia Atout question of the day. What is your favorite type of poutine?
Ah, yes. See, no one wants to really talk about the music or wrestling. We just want to talk about food. Okay, so let's get into this. Poutine.
Here we go.
I like a decently thin fry that's crispy but not hard. I like when it's kind of has that like softness in the middle. So you need a good crispy fry to hold up and, you know, be able to consume all that delicious brown gravy. I like a beef gravy, and then you need those squeaky cheese curds, like the ones that almost look like tiny matzo balls, but they're cheese curds, the white ones, because they're like, I think the flavor profile of those is way better than the cheddar. So, oh, I'm so hungry. It sucks being stuck at home. I totally understand. No, hear me out. I'm going somewhere. So I'm a sucker for Uber Eats. Like once a week I'll treat myself with something, whether it's like sushi, a burrito, even McDonald's if I'm craving it. Like I just like breaking it up. Not being able to do, I sound like so just ridiculous and like such a little turd, but like I miss just being able to be like, oh, pasta tonight? Sweet, let's order what you're craving. And so not being able to do that has been so weird. And I can't wait until this quarantine's finished and I can just pig out on like everything I'm craving. Because I literally haven't left the house in 2 weeks, like straight. So I'm gonna get some poutine when this whole thing's over.
I'm glad I asked the question. So on that, you've been in the house for 2 weeks. Have you improved your cooking skills?
No.
No.
It's interesting. Like I live at home with my sister who's 22, she's a nurse, and my mom and dad. So it's interesting because like my parents are amazing cooks, so I eat like a queen every single night. So it's not that there's like no good meals. It's just, you know, when you're like craving that one dish that almost like can be made at home, or it's just is actually cheaper to buy it and whatnot. It's like, oh, I miss that so much. I miss just being like, oh, should I treat myself tonight? La la la. I miss it. And like you can still order food off of these apps. I'm just so paranoid that like the bag could be contaminated or the driver could have, like, you just don't know. So that's been freaking me out so much. I just haven't ordered anything. I'm just gonna get like a McDonald's cheeseburger and Blizzard. Well, Blizzard's Dairy Queen, but like McFlurry and just chat out on that stuff when this is all over.
Yeah, it really has made us all, you know, everything that we didn't even realize that we took for granted. Just one of the small things of, I even have said to my friends who have, you know, I still wrestle occasionally, but I got a lot of guys that were still wrestling at the time. Hey, come down to my show, and it would be a 4-hour drive, and I'm thinking, drive 4 hours, and then, you know, I got an 8-hour round trip, and now I kick myself. Why didn't I should have went. That's not really, you know, the time wasn't really an excuse. If I didn't have gas money or something, that'd have been one thing, but I was perfectly capable of going to shows that I didn't go to, and I guess you can have no regrets, but those are some of the regrets that I have that are just make you think, wow.
Yeah, there's such little things, and it's not like we're acting spoiled or anything, because I feel like it's not even that we take them for granted day to day. It's just you realize like how much you miss the little things, and maybe after this, like you should be like, oh, we actually do have it like really, really good. It's not that we didn't know that before, but at the same time, it puts things into perspective when you miss like the tiniest of things. Like even going for walks, I have a dog, and I'm so used to letting him just like walk up to other dogs, or kids want to see him, and it's like you don't want any contact with anything, or like a human will come up to you like 2 inches and you're like, what the hell, bro? Like no. So
which is exactly the way I am at conventions when I'm with you, like, hey, get away from me. No.
Yeah, no, that's like
that does, you know. Yeah, and you and I have worked a lot. I want to say many, but it's really like 3 conventions together, and have always had such a good time with our banter back and forth, and your fans coming up, and Yeah, I miss that. Even the times where we're like, oh my goodness, look at the time, and our talk would always be about, do you think we could leave and get some food and come back?
Every
Yeah,
time, it's so true. Every time Justin and I work a convention, like we'll be at the wrestling travel booth all day. We're talking to fans and like telling them about WT and like my brand and all that kind of stuff, selling merch. And then 2 hours out, we're like looking at our watches, like, do you think that the faux place is still open?
absolutely. Or when's a good time to leave for lunch? Because what was it in Baltimore? We passed something on the way into Baltimore. Oh, was it? It was a faux place.
Yeah, we ate that
Yeah, and then
night
you went
time.
out.
It's really good.
You went out, and didn't you go out? And one of them were like, "Oh, it's not open anywhere. We were too late to get to it." But our big disappointments. Um, so last thing I want to wrap up with, because I want to be very respectful of your time, um, and the fact that people have to look at both you and me. I want to be respectful of that too, and limit the. You're. I see a lot of sales going on in the merch store. So can you kind of give us kind of what you got going on right now, or if nothing else, just tell us how we can get to your merch store.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys want to hit up the merch store, there's three ways to really access it. One, just hit up the link. It's aliciatoot.bigcartel.com. The second way is to go to my website, which is just aliciatoot.com. There's a merch tab. You click it. And then the other way is just go on any of my social medias, and within the last day, you're guaranteed to see a post about it. So you can click the link from there as well. But my merch store, I have three different types of t-shirts in there. I love the newest design I have. It's very punk. It's black and white. Super cool. I have 8x10s, 4x6s, magnets, kiss cards, stickers, wristbands, pins, buttons, enamel pins, personalized videos. There's a lot. And I'm still trying to like invent even cooler, newer merch for people, because you just never know what people are gonna like and how they're gonna support you. And my site's completely DIY. So all the funding that goes into the traveling, if I'm not brought out places to host or interview or whatever, all of that comes out of my pocket. Same with my gear and everything. So anytime somebody spends like even $5, I'm just over the moon because every little bit helps. So to see people support through this, I don't even think it's like overusing the word crisis right now. To see
Right.
people still supporting and making sure that I've been all right and I'm able to kind of still go from day to day and stuff. That's been so wonderful to see, and I'm really appreciative. So, yeah, that's my merch store. There's a lot in it. It's a lot easier to envision when you're online. It's very nicely displayed, but that's where you
Right.
guys check that stuff
And
out.
that's what I want to get. I want people and want people to go there. And one of the things that I'm not just saying this because we've sat next to each other on several different occasions, but when I think of my past, when I've gone up to meet somebody that I've admired and respected, being whether they were in the wrestling world or I've had some really bad run-ins when I was a child with some Green Bay Packers, which
Right.
is my favorite team by far, and they were just, they get out of here, kid, or something, and not even to me, just watching them with other people. But I can say that back you up on how much you truly appreciate each and every fan that has come up to you when I'm sitting there at the wrestling travel booth. You're giving them that experience more than you're not the hey, I'll sign your 8x10, get out of here. You're interacting and stuff. And I know that what as a fan of anything that gives me that personal experience too, because I've seen people come up to you more than once or hey, every time I'm at a convention that Alicia's at, I stop by and get a photo. I stop by and get a picture. And you're awesome. That's why Wrestling Travel, we love you. And we're going to
I
continue to
love
work
you
with you.
guys. I
Yeah.
I was so bummed. Like we had like we announced that I was coming across the pond. We didn't announce
Oh,
for what.
yeah.
We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep that under wraps for now. 'Cause hope rescheduling. But like, man, I love hanging out with you. I love the team. I was so excited to meet like all of the UK guys over there. Um, it's always such a pleasure working with you guys. It's fun. It's easy. It's just you guys are such a good brand. So I'm just glad that we started this whole relationship, and I'm sure it'll keep on keeping on once all this is over. So, that's
100%. So we'll
thankful.
plan on anybody looking at this to meet up with Wrestling Travel and Alicia Atout at WrestleMania 37, if not sooner. But I really appreciate your time. And I know I said last question about an hour ago, but as far as my interviewing skills, on a scale of 1 to 10, now be honest, because I might have to do this again with other people. Where am I ranking? And consider that I asked the poutine question too. Throw that in there.
Right. To give you perspective, I'd give myself probably like a strong 8.5 or 9, because I really still want to improve. So I'd probably give you, I don't even know. The poutine question brings you to like, let's say, I know you, Justin, so don't take this to heart. I'd say like a 4.5.
Oh my goodness. In my head, I'm like, if I could just reach 5, I'd be happy, but 4.5, I'm going to take, because no, you always have to improve. And the fact that,
let's move it to a 5, because this was actually fun. And plus, you and I shoot the breeze all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm just used to it. I think I'm picky when it comes to interviewers, honestly, because it's like how you mentioned, like, a lot of the time the questions are very similar about your beginnings and that kind of stuff. But it does come down to the personality too, not just the questions. So it was fun.
And I give myself technicality, like as I was prepping for this, I obviously do not have the best background. I'm hoping that I had my posters. I've been in this, I've got to clean the house type thing. And it's actually what I do is I live on a little tiny cabin on a lake, which is awesome. But I got a lot of junk that I'm trying to like declutter. And the more I declutter, the more cluttered I've gotten. So hopefully we can green screen this next time I do an interview or something. And I got a Skype follower, a Twitter follower.
Right,
I don't know if you can have Skype followers, but I had a Twitter follower. But great. So we thank you very much, and I will end this interview. Thank you very much, Alicia. We look forward to speaking to you soon.
Bye, everybody.